Hi there, my name is Felix and the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share and subscribe and ring the little bell so you are notified when new videos drop. And I wasn't going to do a video on this story because, yeah, honestly, I hadn't read it. that's always a really good tip in working out what stories you're going to cover on your channel. Read them and then you know what's in them. But I just saw the headline, and the headline was something like, Jonathan Frakes said fans are only watching Picard to confirm that they hate it, which I found kind of, that was a fair criticism, a fair point of view to have, because that's really where I was. I had zero belief that it would be anything other than awful. And actually, it turned out to be not as awful as I thought it was. So there you go. But I thought that headline seemed to be true. But then I was on Nerdrodic. Gary was going over the article, and I was like, oh, there's a lot to talk about here. So I figured we'll talk about it. By the way, Gary came up with the perfect name for this video, when I really wanted to steal it. But then I figured, if you're going to plagiarize on somebody, it's not smart to plagiarize on somebody with an audience 250 times the size of yours, that your meager audience all knows about him anyway. So he said, what was it? That number one takes a number two on the fans. My video title will be, did number one take a number two on the fans? So, we're going to be getting into it and talking about it. Before we do that, can I ask you guys, can you hit the subscribe button? That would be fan-frickin-tastic. Thank you very much. If you are subscribed, can you make sure you're still subscribed? I've reached the dizzying heights of my YouTube channel that YouTube are unsubscribing people. So if you're subscribed, make sure you're still subscribed. If you can hit the like and the share button, all those are fantastic. Thank you very much. I am genuinely, and I do say quite pathetically grateful, and I think I'm quite grateful, pathetically grateful. I do things to encourage you guys to subscribe each week, each day on the channel. Firstly, I do things to encourage you to subscribe by giving you scintillating content. So, you're welcome. But also, I give stuff away if the scintillating content isn't quite enough for you. I give stuff away. The stuff I'm giving away this week is Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Rings, the extended edition DVD set, 4-disc set. I just love the packaging of this. I'm so sorry to see it go, but it's got to go. Everything must go. It's really good not to be a hoarder. So, I'm trying. I got it on Blu-ray. I'm trying to get rid of all the stuff I don't need in my life. But it's really painful. I really love the packaging. You get the 2-disc extended edition, and then you get another 2 discs on extras. Just a fantastic package, fantastic packaging. All you need to do to win it is subscribe to the channel. Subscribing being very important from my perspective. That's the reason I'm doing it. And then leave the hashtag TreeBid. Hashtag TreeBid. We're doing the giveaway on Sunday the 26th, when I'm going to be on the TARDIS Zone with Noel. As long as I remember. I forgot last week because I was busy doing other things. Then I'll be pushed off for a day. But that's what we're going to do. And then we're going to choose a new thing to give away. And, a good time will be had by all. Go and check the video notes. I've got all the instructions that you need. Fine. So let's open up this article and have a look at it. It's, there you go. Jonathan Frakes. Jonathan Frakes, I would say, absolutely the best thing about Star Trek Picard. And if they were smart, they would have probably got the same effect, and the same amount, probably more viewers, in fact, doing a 4 to 6 parts mini series based on Riker. He was absolutely the best thing about the show. Fine, so I'm going to skip the opening bit because it's just kind of bit waffly. Jonathan Frakes and Star Trek Picard critics. They are watching it to make sure they hate it. Again, I read that headline, I went, that's fair. Fine, so a little bit of intro stuff, and then we get over here. Fine, at the beginning of it talks about where he was talking about this. I should really reference it, if I can find it. He was on the GalaxyCon's Facebook live stream. Well, that sounds good. Maybe if I can try and find that, that'd be awesome. It's fine. At the beginning of the discussion, Frakes has asked about what it felt like to enter the weird, strange world of fandom. Now, that I can imagine, for a normie, that's pretty weird. Okay, so he answered, the first convention he ever did was in Syracuse, New York, and it was winter 1987, and I think the show has started in September. So the audience was very hardcore original audience. They were skeptical, they were suspicious, and they were generally not terribly interested and completely unfamiliar with this new Star Trek, which had the bald English captain with a French name, an entirely new cast. They wanted Kirk's bottom bones Star Trek. Okay, yeah, but let's just put this in context, because I was there. Okay, this is my era. I was, 16 at the time? No, it'll be about 16, 17, or 15, between 15 and 70. One of the the way you watched it, it wasn't on TV. You had to go and rent the VHS tapes as they came. They came out, brought one, like 2 out a month or something like that. You'd go, and I rented them from my local deli, which had a little video store built into it. So something to be. I think something to be fair to the fans at the time, who were very skeptical of the next generation, because it seemed very, very, very not Star Trekky at all. If what used to, it seemed very, very different. But in fairness to them, the first season of Star Trek sucked. The first season of Star Trek Next Generation just sucked. It's terrible. Counter at Farpoint is I was blown away by the special effects. I was really into the special effects. And I was like, I loved it on a TV budget. I love seeing Bones in that episode. But generally speaking, that first season was freaking awful. By the end of the first season, they started putting it together. But it was really, I think, the best of both worlds around there that before it came together. And I would say maybe even season 3. Before it started to generate not hatred, like, what is this? Ugh, icky stuff. And I think Frakes is making a bit of a mistake that he says, because people didn't like new things in the past, the reasons they don't like new things now are identical. No, that's not the truth. That's not the case. The reason people don't like Discovery and ended up liking Star Trek Next Generation, because Star Trek Next Generation became very good. Objectively very, very, very good. Whereas Discovery is just freaking awful. Come on! They have plot holes so significant, they forget major plot points between scene and scene, and that's even like mentioning the ridiculous feminist agenda, which is basically them saying, "Oh, look, I know you've caught us abusing and raping lots of women in Hollywood for the last 100 years. I know that we've made lots and lots of women give lots and lots of blowjobs so they could get a shitty role in a commercial. Yeah, I know we've done that, and it's been very bad, and I'm sorry that you caught us here." Newsflash, we all knew about it anyway. Everybody knew about this, okay? Nobody didn't know about the casting couch. We all knew about it. So now we want to show you how well we're really good, we're really virtuous, we're actually better than you. Because that's how we can lecture you and moralize you. So we're just going to hire women and have women be like the forefront of everything, because men's had their time. No. Yeah! And how's it worked out for you? Honestly speaking, how's it worked out for you? Has it been as successful as it was before you injected this ridiculous agenda that you put in everything? No, it hasn't, has it? No, it hasn't. I know you don't like dealing with that fact, but it's all true. Fine. So Frakes carries on. He elaborated. I had no idea the world I had entered, what it was going to be like. I had no idea what the experience was like. I was nervous. Right? Yeah, I can hear that. Totally hear that. The conversation then goes to Frakes' experience as Captain America before it is brought back to Star Trek. He was a Captain America? Okay, I have no idea about that. Around the 22.5-minute mark, Frakes has asked about when Star Trek Next Generation, Star Trek the original series fans began to embrace the show. It's about what I told you about the end of season 2 being in season 3. Frakes responded, I don't think it was until the second or third year. Duh, yeah, I was there. Yes, that's correct. Second or third year when the show got good. See? That's the important thing. That's the important thing. You can pretty much do whatever you want as long as it's good. As long as it's good. And they replace good with agenda. They replace good with agenda. You can do pretty much as long as you have the agenda. No, if it's good, you can do whatever you want. And that's when people embrace you. And that's when people reject you, when what you do is objectively terrible. I remember we did, 26 a year. That was like 50, 60 shows in. Yeah, that's how long it took you to find your footing. He added, they realized there was room in their worlds for both shows. Yes, because you made it good. Because it started to get better. Then Paramount, in all its wisdom and greed, produced Voyager and Deep Throat 9 and Enterprise. Come on. Listen, in all their wisdom and greed, they've employed you pretty well, I think, on all of those shows. And listen, I like Deep Space Nine. It's my favorite Star Trek. It really is. Enterprise, I liked in the last season. I think the last season mostly, apart from that last episode, was terrible. Fine. And then we shut down, and they shut down, and JJ kept it all under wraps until we produced the movies, which were wonderfully received. The first one was received very well. First one was like, wait a minute, this is a Star Trek movie without boring politics, or like, lots of standing around. Yeah, no, it was a fun, delightful action adventure movie. But the trouble with JJ stuff is that he's not really a writer. He's not really a good writer. I think that's why The Force Awakens did better than anything else he's done, because he brought in a real writer to write it. He's very good at putting together narrative tricks, and I think his direction is solid. His direction he can make a movie right along. He needs a good script, and he's not the one to write it. He's just not there. I don't think he's put the time into being a good writer. So but he's a pretty. I think he can produce unless he's under like insane restrictions like he was with Star Wars Rise of Skywalker. I think he can produce an enjoyable movie with a decent script, which he did. But that was the first one. The second one didn't do well. Second one, why it didn't do well? Because it wasn't good. It's that simple. The third one was better than the second, but still didn't really. It flopped horribly at the box office, and they haven't been able to do any more since. And then they've done all this like Kurtzman trick, which listen, I think is pretty closely related to JJ Trek. Fine, it was wonderfully received, and they didn't have the same sort of resentment as New Trek. Yes, because it was good. It was good, Jonathan. That's really what it boils down to. Frakes, and I understand that's not something you can objectively quantify, but it was good. Okay, I'm sorry. Just like this picture of you here right now. On the bridge of the ship, being a captain, that was the best bit of Star Trek. There's no metric for me to say that was the best bit, but that was still the best bit. Come on. Frakes then discussed the reception of Star Trek Discovery. My friends at Discovery, which I was privileged to be a part of and still am, because I like work and I like money, even though, is that greed? Is that wisdom and greed there, Jonathan? I don't know. There was a similar vibe when the show came out. Yes, okay. Are you picking up on something now? If you do something objectively shit, people will not like it. And they won't like it even if you fill it full of this political agenda that you think is so important. Well, I don't think you think, people are products of their environments. And, Frakes lives in Hollywood, lives in entertainment industry. It's a product of the environment. They're all crazy. They're all insane. They're all just bonkers. There was a similar vibe then the show came out. People, they didn't want to find room in their hearts for another Star Trek, which there clearly was. Actually, I'm telling you, that for me anyway, that wasn't the case. I had not been red-pilled at the time yet when it came out. And I really like Brian Fuller. I think his work's really good, really is. I was very excited. I was disappointed when he left the show, but I did see a lot of Brian Fuller's fingerprints on it, and I was actually enjoying that. The first 10 episodes, I liked the Harry Mudd. I liked the design of the ship that went from Star Trek Phase 2. I thought all that was cool. I thought the uniform sucked. And even Michael Burnham hadn't become insanely grating with her, but I liked the young Sarah. I liked a lot of it. Things I liked in it, I think, are probably all Brian Fuller's stuff. But after they came back from the Christmas break, when they're in it turned out they're in the mirror universe, that's where it lost focus and it started to all fall apart. The weakest part of it was the tardigrade, because I think they just stole that. It seems to me, in my opinion, it seems like they stole that from Anos Abdeen, and they just kind of cut and paste it in, and you can see how it doesn't work. It doesn't work. It's that simple. Fine. So yeah, okay. The reason people didn't embrace Star Trek Discovery is because it wasn't good. Now again, I really wanted to like it. I really tried to like it, but it wasn't until season 2 when I realized how freaking awful it was. Then he touched on Star Trek Picard. One of the reasons that there was not a factor in launching Picard is because the hardcore fans love Picard and were inclined to look forward to it. Yes, that's true. And that's why you backed up Brink's truck of money back into Patrick Stewart's living room. I'm sorry that they made such a bad show out of it. It wasn't a bad show. It was kind of like a mediocre show. It wasn't a great show, but it wasn't a Star Trek show at all. And look, it was show. And look forward to having him, and look forward to whatever the story, because they knew it was him, and he was. But I tell you, with the drop off of audience which they got, which was massive, they had almost tuned in and said, "Oh, we know Picard. Oh, let's go check it out." And they watched an episode, and they were bored. That's the bottom line. They were bored. It was boring. That's the problem. It was just boring. And kind of stupid at the same time. So, and that's why they say they would have got, I said this earlier, they would have got the same traction doing a Riker show. They would have done 4 to 6 episodes, and they would have got exactly the same. They would probably got more traction if they were authentically Star Trek. If they wanted to get traction, all they need to do is greenlight an Axanar, put it on CBS All Access, and do a season of Star Trek Continues. Do exactly the same aesthetic, and you can probably do both of those for the budget of 1 episode of Picard. I'm sorry that you idiots just throw money at things, think it's going to solve it. It's not. It's not going to solve it. So this is what we're seeing. I think the familiarity with all fandom, it's so important. It's like the canon of these shows. Did I skip anything? Who knew it? No, I didn't. Okay, I think the familiarity with all fandom, it's so important. It's like canon of these shows. They want a touch point. Exactly. That's why we loved you in Star Trek Picard, because you were that touch point. Okay. The best part of that show was when you showed up, even on the ridiculous identical starships that I hate the design of. But that one line when you said, was it shields to fall, weapons hot, whatever. That was freaking awesome. The authority in your voice. It was wonderful. Oh, God, that's such a shame. Anyway, that's exactly right. And it's important, and it clearly worked because Picard was wonderful. It wasn't wonderful, Jonathan. I'm sorry. Okay, now we're on to the critics. Some argue the familiarity that Frakes is talking about isn't there with Star Trek Picard. Yeah, they did fundamentally change the premise of the universe. Since the show has aired, many fans expressed concern that Picard was not the Picard that they knew. Yes, and they kept telling us, this is not the Picard you know. They told us, and we knew it was. Nobody was lying about this. And the world the show inhabits is not Star Trek. Yeah, that's pretty much what I think. Instead, a hollow, expensive CGI version of Star Trek. Yep. YouTube Script Doctor, this is a brilliant video, you should check this out. YouTube Script Doctor notes, the problem with Star Trek Picard are very easy to see. Its inconsistent story and plot holes and cheap writing techniques that are used to hide obvious rewrites. Yes. In fact, Gary from Nerdrotic. Great title, Gary. Number 1 takes the number 2 on the fans. In fact, Gary Bueller from Nerdrotic points out, Patrick Stewart told Variety, told that Picard was saying the world of the next generation doesn't exist anymore. Yeah, I know, they're all crying because Obama, isn't president anymore. And objectively, things are a lot better, than them. Okay. Stu explained, I think what we're trying to say is what we're trying to think is important. It's not important. Well, I think what we're trying to say is important. It's not important. It's vile virtue signaling and vanity. Vanity politics. That's what it is. The world of next generation doesn't exist anymore. It's different. There's really nothing safe. Nothing is really secure. Excuse me. Okay, you're all triggered into this because the person who wanted to win an election didn't win an election. Okay, and everything's perfectly safe and secure. That probably more safe as God. Bueller goes on to note that Star Trek's current course chooses to ignore Gene Roddenberry's. Yes, and I hope that's exactly correct. Yes. Instead, what you get is your face propaganda that has been thrown at fans for years now. Okay, fair enough. This goes on for a bit. Okay, we're nearly done. Finally, the multi-million-dollar question was asked. Host Mike Border brings up that there are a number of Star Trek fans who are unhappy with Picard, which very fair. I myself one of them. Frakes responds, but they watch it, and they're watching it to make sure they hate it. Which, again, that part, I agree with. That part, I think is fair, But I think there's a real misunderstanding to say people rejected Next Generation at first, and because people just reject things out of hand. No, you make something terrible, people will reject it. You make something good, people will embrace it. It's that simple. It's a complete and pure meritocracy. That's all it is, and it's a meritocracy with a finger on its scales because you get like favorability by making it in Star Trek, which is why they make Star Trek and they make it Star Trek. You get that favorability, people loving Star Trek to start with, but essentially it's a meritocracy. If you make shit, people will reject it. If you make something good, people will accept it. That's really the very simple bottom line. And I think you could even fill it full of your stupid agenda, and if you still made it good, people would accept it. But you can't, because the only thing you pick, the reason you fill it full of agenda is because they have nothing else in their heads, because they're morons, because they work in Hollywood. My name is Sheila Bearkin, the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe. Ring the little bell so you're notified when new videos drop, and have yourself a fantastic day.